give everyone a chance to speak. We have a lot of people who signed up tonight. Unfortunately, we have some routes that are discontinued. These routes are pretty low performing when we look at how many people can fit on a 40-foot bus. So the passengers per trip range from 0.4 to 5.5 passengers per trip. So this is the list here is QX, 10X, 12X, anything with an X is an express park and ride type route. Route 23, relatively new route that we have out in West Warwick and Coventry. 59X, 61X, 68, another relatively new route that we have out in Newport. Route 73, 76, 80 here in Pawtucket, and 88 in the Village Show. So also we've done some route segment eliminations. So some routes, they travel on a regular path the entire day. But we have some routes that actually turn and they will service like an apartment complex or a shopping center. And when we get low ridership on those segments actually affect the frequency of the route for the passengers boarding along that route. So what we do is we have very low ridership on the Colony House off of Prairie Ave there. And then West Bay, the service alternates on Saturday between Newport and Narragansett. The service is going to be all moved over to Narragansett. To Newport, excuse me. Route 16 Bald Hill. So this service operates between CCRI and Quonset. We're going to shorten this route to operate just between CCRI and New England Tech. Route 58, we have a commuter trip. It's a single inbound trip in the morning and a single outbound trip in the afternoon. It serves an eastern section of Mineral Spring Avenue. And that, it used to ride. It doesn't ride anymore. People don't even ride it every day. Continue that. And then Route 64. So this route here is going to be realigned to operate more express. And it's no longer going to serve as Boston Neck Road or Bay Campus. So weekend service, Saturdays, 18 Union, 58 Mineral Spring, and 64 Newport URI. Sundays, Route 4 out in Warwick, 16 on Sunday, 69 URI Galilee, and 71 Broad Street, Central Falls. Elimination of all weekend service, 6 Prairie, 13, 29, 30, and 75 here in Pawtucket Central Falls. So frequency, so the bus comes, let's say the bus comes every half hour. Now it may come every hour. So we have some frequency changes here. Route 6 will go from every 30 to every 60. Route 9X is being reduced from 3 round trips to 2 round trips. Route 16 is being reduced from half hour to 70 minutes. Route 18 is being reduced from 30 minutes to 60 minutes. 21 on weekends is being reduced from 40 minutes to every 50. Route 64, it becomes more of an express route, like I had mentioned earlier. It's going to have an AM service and a PM service. 65X is going from 3 round trips to 2 round trips. Route 87, Fairmount Walnut Hill on the weekends is going to go from every 40 to every 80. And the 95X is going from 3 round trips to 2 round trips.
Now, this is all because of driver shortage?
That is
All of
true.
this?
That is true, yes.
How many are you short?
Why don't you let Eddie do the presentation, and then we'll take questions.
So I had mentioned a list of routes that we had reduced last fall due to driver shortage as well. These were frequency reductions. So we want to build these routes back up again. Once we get a driver pool back, we want to reinstate a lot of these services. So, but despite recruitment efforts, in the past couple of years, it's been very difficult to retain drivers. So these temporary, service reductions, which we slated as temporary last year, they're gonna have to be reduced for a while until we can build up the driver pool. So next steps, so feedback from tonight's public hearing is all gonna be given to our board of directors for review. Public comment will be accepted through February 22nd, and you can do that through verbal testimony here, written testimony here, or you can submit written testimony at marketing@ripta.com, or you can dial 74-9500, extension 1101. And the board of directors will vote on the proposed changes when we meet. Meeting is not scheduled yet. So public comment, so this is really, really important, because tonight we have a lot of speakers and we want to give everyone a chance to be able to speak. So we're gonna limit that to 3 minutes per person. Comments unrelated to the hearings, we're not gonna record for public comment. Again, additional comments can be submitted in writing to marketing@ripta.com. And all comments are due by February 22nd. We have copies of the Title VI Safe Analysis out front. I see many of you already picked those up. And we have our Title VI program explained on ripta.com. Okay. Okay.
All right, so I've got the list of everybody who signed up to speak tonight. Like Ed said, we really need to limit this to 3 minutes per person. Like you said, there's a lot of people here in front of you. Make sure that everybody has their chance to speak. So I've got a timer here, and after 2 minutes, it lets out a single chime. After 3 minutes, it'll chime a couple of times. At that point, the time is up. So we're going to start tonight with Senator Megan Coleman.
Anyway, you go.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here. I'm Senator Megan Coleman, representing Providence. I'm here in large part because I do not support these changes because we need to be expanding bus service. I'm also here to recognize that the state has not done a very good job funding public transit over the course of the last several decades. And so myself, I have two House colleagues who are here, representatives. I don't know if you could raise your hands just so people know who you are. But we are working through all the mechanisms that are available to us within the legislature to make sure that funding is sufficient to avoid particularly the driver shortages, but all sorts of other shortages that are driving these proposed changes. So for the record, I'm not in support of these proposed changes. I'm a regular bus rider myself. And I understand that as a whole, we need to do a better and more robust job funding and advocating for funding for the for RIPTA across the state. So come find me if you would like to chat afterwards, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Representative Jennifer Stewart.
Hi, good evening. I represent the 59th district here in Pawtucket, the communities of Oak Hill and Woodlawn, and many of our residents rely on RIPTA, many seniors and students, and like my colleague Senator Coleman, I want to go on the record as not supporting these cuts, and we need to do a better job of fully funding public transportation so that people can see it as a viable way of getting around the state. And I fear that these cuts are going to be a death knell for people thinking about RIPTA as a viable way at any point in the future for getting around the state. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Sherry Cruz.
Representative Cruz, I grew up here in Woodlawn. I also represent the Woodlawn-Fairlawn community. Grew up taking 72 and 73. And I am against all of these cuts in your trips. And I know how detrimental it is to people in my community, right here in this neighborhood, and how it's a lifeline, and it's so needed. So I just want to say I'm here you want to talk, but also fighting with other, senators and representatives to make sure it's fully funded, to make sure we restore these routes and actually expand, not cut, restore, but expand. So please let us know, come talk to us. And again, if there's anything you need, and I fully support expanding with it and know how important it is to people in our community.
Thank you.
Candy Vermeil.
Okay, my name is Candy, and I'm a Richter rider. I ride the bus a lot. The only two concerns I'm gonna bring up is, one, they're talking about cutting 58 on Saturdays. 58's already been cut down so much as it is, because they don't run Sundays at all. Another thing is, they're talking about cutting routes. Well, they got so many routes, like 4 routes leaving from Kennedy Plaza to Pawtucket. So if they're thinking about, maybe think about considering maybe either combining or doing something about some of the Pawtucket routes, because there's so many of them from Kennedy to here. So that's about it for me.
Thank you.
Alice Costa.
Hi, thank you for the time. The 76 is the only means of transportation that I have in order to get to work and get back home. I actually work right in downtown Pawtucket. And this is just a comment, not to be negative, but just an observation, that when I'm waiting to go home after work, within a 5 to 7 minute span, there are 3 R-Line buses that go by, and many of them are empty. So just, again, a suggestion, if maybe one of those R-Line buses within a 5 to 7 minute span, can be transferred to a 76. And the 76 only runs once every 90 minutes, because it's a 76 one way, then it becomes a 7880. So it's even only 90 minutes. The 76 also brings passengers to the Pawtucket Central Falls train station. When I get off at my stop at Fogarty Manor, it continues on to go to the transit center, Pawtucket Central Falls. So, people that need that to get to the train station and to make connections to other buses. There's one regular student, at least a regular student, that needs this bus to get to Tolman High School, because he's on that bus every morning with me. The Fogarty Manor Elderly Complex is right in front of the bus stop where I get off at work. And the 76 also travels directly by the Darlington Assisted Living Center, which is located on Armistice Boulevard. There's also several Pawtucket food pantries that I can name, which is the Holy Family Parish, St. Joseph's Church, that's on Walcott Street, that will get affected. The Salvation Army, the First Baptist Church of Pawtucket. There's also a food pantry in the Blackstone Valley Emergency Food Center, is on Benefit Street. And then there's also many elderly and senior complexes, the Leon Matthew Senior Center, Main Street, the Centennial Towers on Wharf Avenue, Northern Plaza, Slater Hill, Towers East, right on East Avenue. Also, the Pawtucket Office of the Social Security Administration is located right on Fort Pleasant Street. The Pawtucket Post Office right on 40 Montgomery. The Department of Human Services on 249 Roosevelt Avenue. These are all people that won't be able to get to these different locations, mostly the socioeconomic people challenged and the elderly is what's mostly going to get affected. Also, the 76 goes into the Stop and Shop on Cottage Street every day. Armistice Urgent Care, if somebody doesn't have a ride to get some medical attention, it goes right by there. The Walmart Pharmacy on Cottage Street, the Pawtucket Library, the Department of Public Works, which is on 250 Armistice Boulevard. There are also 2 banks that, if people need to do their banking. TD Bank and Bristol County Savings Bank. One's on Central Avenue, one's on Armistice. Also, Pawtucket City Hall. Many people come to pay their real estate taxes, especially if they're paying them in cash. They come to get deeds for their homes. They come to obtain marriage licenses. birth certificates. I've been myself in the lobby of Pawtucket City Hall where people, a mom is there with her child, to go get a birth certificate. It's like, so many people, they don't realize how one bus will affect, so many people. And also for early voting during election times, people can go, to vote at City Hall as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Blanchett.
All right, thanks for the time again. So like the preceding speaker, I also use the 76 because I live at the far end of the 76, close to where, well, there's hopefully soon to be rebuilt South Attleboro train station is a mile away, along with Market Basket. Not far from me down the hill is Seekonk. I've been using the 76 for pretty much over several decades now. I remember when it used to be interlined with what was then the 1199. I'm doing with very frequent service. I absolutely liked riding Ripta because I hate driving in Rhode Island. If I can avoid doing it, I can. And right now after graduating a couple years ago from CCRI, I'm now going up to college up in Boston, hopefully graduating this year, fingers crossed. With the South Attleboro train station currently closed, hopefully to be reconstructed. I know there's plans in place for that, but that's a Massachusetts thing. I am currently relying on the 76, not just for most of what I usually do, which is going to work. I work at a theater in Providence. And most of the time the 76 sometimes doesn't even run when I need it to be there, so that way I can get to work on time. Especially on weekends when 76 doesn't run on the Sundays. So there's that concern. On the other hand, I'm now with going up to Boston, I rely on 76 to get up to school. Well, when the T was currently doing some weird service change to accommodate Amtrak, doing some track work, the connections were perfect. I could get on the bus, and I knew that within a couple of minutes I could catch the train, go up to Boston and switch it all that. And some of the latest service changes have been weird, but I've been working to live with it. My problem with the 76, as someone who is technically low income, even though I don't consider myself that, but according to most metrics I am. Basically, without the 76, it's almost as if the only way I could explain it to people who drive cars is basically as if my car's basically been totaled and I've been told you can't rebuild it, you need something else. And I've got no other options. Because Lyft, I've been using Lyft several times when I was going to CCRI with the 73. So that would, had I continued going to CCRI, that would have been a concern. And the 80, I sometimes use the 80 when the 76 doesn't run, and say if I'm going, because there's a dentist nearby for me. So for me, without the 76, I've basically got nothing. I can talk about this later on after the meeting is over, but this is the one route that is basically driving me nuts, where basically it's almost like as if no 76, then I'm basically cut out as a member of the city and the state, and that's not good.
Lorraine Savard.
I can't stand, my balance is a little off, so I'm gonna have to sit here. My name is Lorraine Savard, I live in Central Falls. I have not recently driven, well, occasionally I do drive the bus. I am opposed to both the reduction in the number of bus routes and, which was not mentioned, the removal of the RIPTA bus hub from Kennedy Plaza. The hardships that will result in the route eliminations are unjust and unconscionable. Those impacted are students, the elderly, working poor, just to name a few. In addition to the personal effects of the route reduction, there are also the environmental setbacks. The goal of 100% renewable and cutting pollution will not be achieved if we eliminate a major pollution curbing asset, that is dependable and accessible public transit. And now, to say a little something about moving a perfectly efficient bus hub that has been running capably for decades and spending $16.9 million on a study to fund what exactly? Why fix something that is not broken? To use, as I've been told, possibly the 195 land for a new bus hub 5 blocks away from the existing one is absolutely ridiculous. These potential changes to RIPTA were decided upon with little ridership input. Who was at this decision-making table? Surely not those most impacted by these changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Q.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Q. I'm a 44-year employee of RIPTA, I'm a bus operator. I've been a former union president, and now I'm working with the Farmers Street Coalition to oppose these cuts. Everything that's been said here tonight is been spot on. It's impacting the residents of Pawtucket. It will impact the residents of Pawtucket in Central Falls greatly and adversely. Basically cutting off their access to jobs, to buying groceries, to going out and getting prescriptions. This is a total decimation of bus service in Pawtucket. And by the way, it started around 1865 with the first horse car line that ran the province out of Pawtucket. And later, the trolley lines crisscrossed the city, then they became buses. When I started at RIPTA in 1980, there was 20-minute service on all these crosstown routes. And as time went on, they've been whittled down to 100 minutes. Now, I have a remedy, and I think, Eddie, you and I have spoken to about this, is on Saturday, the 75 Dexter Street line, which traverses from the train station to Lincoln Wall, is interlined with the 76. It's not a 100-minute wait, it's a 60-minute wait. The 80 Armistice bus certainly could be interlined with the 73, the 71. In fact, years ago, the 71, 80, and 76 were all interlined. That was before the last cutback that made them 100 minutes. This is something that really needs to be worked out with the major investment that was made up the street with the train station for $68 million, and RIPTA was taking it for $5 million. And I can remember as business agent working with Senator Kano, who was then working in city government of Pawtucket, to sign on to a letter to help get the Pawtucket grants and help build that train station. But with the caveat that there would be a waiting station with restrooms, and that's not RIPTA's fault, because there's no bathrooms up there. Please, that's not RIPTA's fault. That was DOT's fault. They didn't include it when they should have, because the money was there, came out of RIPTA. But I would say to you all here tonight is that there's folks that care, and Senator Coleman's one, my president is here, Walter Malillo, and we believe that this is wrong. Pawtucket is on a decline for years. Supposedly, we got a new stadium going up that's controversial. We got a city hall that's needs to be either repaired or torn down. And it just seems like everything in Pawtucket's been nothing but a punch in the gut. No Memorial Hospital, McCoy Stadium's coming down. I mean, that's another thing. They're gonna build a unified high school over there on Columbus Avenue, and there won't be any transit service. There'll be no way for the kids on the other side of the city or from up in Darlington to get to that new school. So I think for the local politicians that came here tonight, but I don't know if any of the board members came here, and shame on them.
Thank you.
Donna Monte?
Donna Monte.
Yes.
I'm hearing him here.
Yes.
My name is Donna Monte. I come from Pawtucket. I live in elderly housing. I'm very disappointed in the 7180 line because you're cutting off a lot of people from Slater Park during the summer and the good weather. I can't go there anymore to have a picnic and enjoy the park. You're cutting off a lot of people in Pawtucket from going to Slater Park. I'm talking about low-income people that don't have transportation with kids and everything else. Maybe if you could combine the two, 71 and 80 into one run, it might help. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
John?
Janice,
Janice.
got my glasses, so I have to go to the light. We got lights in here? Okay, my name is John Janice. I work for the Pawtucket School Department, and actually I've been out in the community with students from Tolman and Shea since 2006. We go to different job sites. Again, these are students who have emotional as well as physical handicaps. We do different job trainings with them. We get them out to the community. And again, over the years, I've seen a lot of students and also their parents on the buses. Again, since 2006, I've been riding the buses with the students. So again, I've seen a lot of the students and also parents and families, okay? When the students get married, have boyfriends, girlfriends, so on and so forth, and their families riding the bus, accessing the community. Presently, actually for the last 2 years now, I've been at the transition program, which is right up here at the old DMV at 286 Main Street. Again, the two feeder schools are Tolman and Shea. And again, these are really students who have crossed the stage either at Tolman or Shea or another school and need a little bit more assistance when it comes to job skills, community skills. Actually, this was supposed to be held on Tuesday, the snow day. And again, we planned actually to come here as a class. I have something I'm going to read directly from them, which they put together, the transition students put together. And then I have one or two other comments. So dated February 13, 2024. And again, this comes from the students. Dear Ripta, we're writing to inform you of our concerns regarding the elimination of upcoming bus routes. The Pawtucket School Department Transition Program relies on some of these routes to get to different job sites and access the community. Students use bus number 76 and 80 to get to work sites and community connections. We have job sites that are on these routes. By eliminating these routes, we will lose our job sites. We currently have a small number of job sites that allow students to gain work experience at local businesses. We have a limited amount of time in our school day. By eliminating these bus routes, it will make it more difficult for us to achieve our goals and take away our independence. And I think that's a very important point, independence. You're taking away their independence. We live in the city. Slater Park offers a quiet place where we can participate in seasonal activities and events. With the elimination of bus 80, we would have to take bus number 1 to South Attleboro and connect at 35. This would double the amount of time to get to Slater Park. The other way would go down to Providence and again connect to 35. The elimination of bus 76 will make it impossible to get to businesses at the Pawtucket-Seekonk, Massachusetts line, where we also go. Students, adults, and people with disabilities who live off of Armistice Boulevard or Central Avenue will be adversely affected by these changes. In today's day and age, the goal should be to increase public transportation to reduce the amount of traffic on the roads and to reduce pollution in the air. Again, thank you for your attention. I I just wanted to mention actually one other thing. So there is what's called a consent decree in Rhode Island. We are under that consent decree, and there is a professor, actually, Antosh from Rhode Island College, who oversees the DOJ and what we have to do. Employment, paid employment is the goal. Okay, it's the goal of what these students are expected to do when they exit the transition program. Secondly is community connections, getting out there to enjoy something else than just work. And without the RIP the bus lines, without the access to the 76 and the 80, and exactly where they are right now, this is not going to be possible for them, and it's going against what the Department of Justice is asking us to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Walter Malillo.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Walter Malillo. I'm the president of this agent, Local 618, the province. I represent all the members, all our members at RIPTA. We, the union, are not in favor of any cuts. We feel that any cuts to this service will be a hardship to the state that need RIPTA to get to so many places. It will take away the stability in their life, where they have options to travel for essential living necessities. If RIPTA's proposed cuts go through, we believe this pact will not attract the ridership going forward. This in return will make riders that we lose become more dependent on other sources of transportation. Let's keep the service that we have and get the funding for RIPTA. That's all. Thank you.
William Massey.
Hi, my name is William Massey. I live in Warwick and work in Providence for the Public School Department. Personally, I rely on the 4 to get in and out of the city, a route that is late to have its Sunday service completely cut. I often ride numerous other routes with our students as I go from school building to school building and witness firsthand the impact infrequent and unreliable service has on our youth and their school attendance. The first thing I wish to address is the connection between RIPTA's funding, both current and future, and the driver shortages that are resulting in these current waves of cuts. And I want to begin by clarifying a misconception held by RIPTA CEO. In an article by Olivia Eberts for the Public's Radio, RIPTA CEO is quoted as saying, "I know some of the transit advocates are trying to conflate the two issues together. Let me make this clear, I'm not some transit advocate, I'm just a dude who rides the bus, and I would much rather not be here begging for my access to basic transit services. Let me be clear, I hate public speaking. Dismissing my needs to have access to a functioning transit system is not what is needed in this moment. Furthermore, these two issues are obviously and absolutely intertwined. To this point, I'd like to share some quotes from an article published just today in the Commonwealth Boston titled, "Healy Goes on Hiring Spree at MBTA." Governor Maura Healy has gone on a hiring spree at MBTA, enticing employees to come and stay at the Transit Authority using a combination of higher wages, improved benefits, and attractive pensions. Suddenly, MTA is a desired place to work. Bus drivers not only receive a $7,500 bonus for signing up, they receive a starting hourly wage of more than $30, up more than $8 on the new contract, $30 per hour, among the highest levels in the country. The T used to scramble to run a training class for 20 to 30 new bus drivers. Now the T is upping the class size from 90 to 100. Clearly, our neighboring states have made the very simple connection between competitive wages and attracting drivers and employees to their agency. If the RIPTA CEO wants to claim that the budget and the driver shortage are not connected, then I see nothing stopping RIPTA from implementing similar competitive wages to the MBTA tomorrow in order to attract drivers and avoid these cuts. We also cannot address the cuts of today without also acknowledging the cuts of tomorrow. We're here tonight to discuss these first wave spring cuts to service. We're all quite aware that the looming fiscal cliff and lack of funding in the governor's budget, that more cuts will come in the following seasons. RIPTA can no longer continue to allow itself to be guided by political self-interest with its hands in its pockets. RIPTA must start advocating for itself and on behalf of its riders. If the current funding from the Governor and General Assembly is not enough to implement full service and fulfill its vision to the Transit Master Plan, the RIPTA must be vocal in its needs. Public statements, open letters to the Governor's office, press releases are all tools RIPTA should be employing to mitigate its funding needs. The current Director of Transportation has had no issue frequently going on radio shows and TV interviews, all to achieve his goals of a car-centric Rhode Island. There's no reason RIPTA should not employ the same tactics to advocate towards robust public transportation and a greener, cleaner future. Finally, I want to end with some requests of RIPTA that if, in despite of the public's opinion being so clear, the organization and its board does decide to move forward with these horrific and unjust cuts to service, they take into consideration the following. 1. These cuts have been marketed as temporary. Then RIPDA indicated such on schedules and signage that these trips are slated to return when staffing letters increase. Schedules and timetables can be printed out with simple watermarks over them, temporarily suspended. This would make it clear to the routes that are not operating while also communicating to the public and stakeholders that it should be the intention that these routes should be operating, they're expected to return. 2, my local route, the 4, is slated to be cut on Sunday entirely. This is unfortunate as I often see individuals utilize the 4 to get to and from church services located along this route. I'm not religious myself, yet I ask that RIPDA look into maintaining morning Sunday service on this route and possibly other routes as well, instead of entire day cancellation, so continue to facilitate Sunday service to and from religious practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jane Arnold.
My name is Jane Arnold, and I live in Oak Hill in Pawtucket. I get around as much as I can on a bike and by foot. Fortunately, I do not have to depend on a bus, which runs every 20 minutes every day and every 40 minutes every day. It doesn't run at night. When I would really like to be able to take public transportation, because I like riding buses and I hate driving. I don't believe that this is simply a driver shortage. One of the things up there said that one of the issues was competitively recruiting new drivers in the current marketplace. To me, that says, oh, we don't pay enough. And the other thing is when they made the R line free, ridership went up 40%, but we don't have enough money, so now you gotta pay on the R line again. I really care about living in a society that says public transit is a public good. It's not a I want people to be able to live. I want to be able to ride the buses. And when I've lived in 8 states, in 14 different communities, and for the first time in my life, I could choose where to live. And I sublet in Cranston for 3 months, and I could take the bus up and down Broad Street. The bus was driving up Broad Street one day, and the driver started to stop for somebody in a wheelchair, and the young man at the back of the bus got up and started getting the seat ready for the wheelchair to be locked in place. And I said, on the list of 99 reasons to move to Rhode Island, I want to live in a place where people like this ride the bus. Stop the cuts. The more you cut, the less people take the buses, and the more reason you have to cut. This is why I don't take the #1 bus to the train station. I don't want to sit there for a half hour because it's the only bus, and besides, if I come home late, I can't get the bus.
Thank you.
Anna Thomas.
I'm gonna have to go on the light because I can't see over here. If you don't mind. Okay. My name came up faster than I expected. Give me a second, I got a couple. I'm fairly new here to Rhode Island, so this has been rough. Forgive me if I get emotional. I've only lived here about 2 years. I come from Washington, D.C., where we have mass public transportation. I did not think I was going to run into this here. I was going to read this, but I'm just going to skim through it. I ride the number 73 on Mineral Spring. It is the only bus that comes past my house. It does not run on the weekends, and it only runs, I think, from like 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. Haven't quite figured out how I'm actually getting home from this late meeting. It's the only bus that I can take to get to work. I actually work right over down here on Pleasant Street, right around the corner. There is absolutely no other way for me to get to work. I tried with the weather, with the rough winters that you guys have here in these New England winters. I salute you. A Lyft one way averages $10 to $20 one way. For me to get a 15-minute bus ride up the street. It's just inconceivable. It's not something I can do. If I can't get to work, I won't have a job. If I don't have a job, I won't be able to keep my home, and I literally will have nowhere to go. And I know it seems like I'm just one person, but there are students that catch that bus. There are a handful, at least 5 people that I see every morning disabled who struggle to get on that bus, and they go to get off to transfer for a transfer point. There is nothing else in walking distance. You literally have to walk either all the way up to the right. I'd have to walk to the train station. I was super excited when I saw a train station. I was like, oh my goodness, I'll get to explore now. That is the only bus that will get me there. Like at this point, it's like just, and I realize low ridership, I understand how that works, but it can't always be about that. I have the same driver, Bill, every single morning. I don't see for this short line a 12-hour, and it only runs every hour. And I do know that a lot of students catch this bus to get to school up at the top before it gets to me, and a lot of them are getting off of it. And without it, I just can't get groceries, I can't get to the doctors, I can't get anywhere. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Dylan? Giles? That's me. My name is Dylan Giles. I'm a resident of Pawtucket. I talked in Providence about the 75, which is slated to be eliminated. I want to talk a little bit about the 71, which goes by my house. The spring service cuts will impact me directly as a user of both the 71 and the 75 on weekends. The 71 is an excellent urban route serving Pawtucket and Central Falls. I take it to doctor's appointments at Blackstone Valley Community Healthcare where I'm a patient. Blackstone Valley has 3 of its major facilities located on this line. And I also take it to get groceries at Stop and Shop where the line ends. And I can't do any of that on the weekends because the line has already been truncated south of the train station. Removing Sunday service further erodes the usefulness of this route for the residents who live along the Broad Street corridor in Central Falls and Rhode Island. There's a lot of development along that corridor, transit-oriented development that relies on the 71. And speaking generally, gutting services to a brand new transit hub, a major capital investment that was designed to spur development in Pawtucket and Central Falls, which it's already doing, is not the direction that we should be going in 2024. The lines being reduced, like the 71, have already suffered from abysmal frequency, and with these rounds of cuts, we're essentially giving up on the prospect of having quality public transportation for the residents of Central Falls and Pawtucket. The formula here appears to be give us poor service, observe that no one uses it, and remove it entirely. These service cuts are just one of the many direct outcomes of the state's failure to grasp the potential for public transportation in Rhode Island. They have underfunded RIPTA for generations and left the most critical part of our entire system, our operators, with abysmal, non-competitive pay and benefits, leading to a staffing shortage that everyone knew was coming. And now some of the most vulnerable and transit-reliant communities are being impacted with even less service than they already have. Central Falls and Pawtucket are heavily transit-dependent, and these changes will have a direct and immediate impact on its residents, especially those who work weekend jobs and rely on RIPTA to get there. These cuts will harm the quality of life and economic prosperity of my neighbors and your customers. I urge RIPTA to do more to advocate on its own behalf to secure more funding and to increase driver pay and bonuses, increase service, and stand up for the benefits of public transit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Devin? Morales?
Yep, I'm right here. Hi, Ed. We know each other by now. Oh, sorry. My name is Devin Morales. I come in purpose of speaking for 2 people, myself and my mother. As many people know, I'm from ATAP, so I somewhat know what's going on. I understand that we have ridership issues, but we have to understand, as a person of a disability that relies on the 72 and the 73, trying to get eliminated, that is going to be a heavy burden. Not on myself, because I've already said, if you eliminate, my dollars go to Massachusetts, because I rather use a reliable service like the commuter rail than have to deal with being stuck outside of Providence if I want to do something for my life, like going to get a haircut, getting my nails done, or a doctor's appointment, which also affects the number 80, because riding the 35 to go to Pawtucket, that's right on Newport Avenue, is a nightmare. And miracle, I haven't gotten in an accident with this wheelchair. So honestly, I understand the mumbo jumbo of driver shortages. Please just pay your drivers enough money. Other states are paying higher. It's time to pay your drivers what they're supposed to be paid. Why are they all retiring early? Because they have their pensions. So you have to understand that if you eliminate in any way, I understand that the 72 might get a service increase. But when you say service increase, the bus will be packed. So if I decide to go to Boston, maybe once or twice a month, I feel the burden riding the bus if I have to go out with my wheelchair. It's even worse with my crutches because I feel unstable in my crutches, although I can walk a lot with my crutches. On the other hand, my mother is recovering from a very serious virus, and she is slowly trying to get back into a new routine of her life. If you again rework the 72 with a lot of more people, she might not want to ride the bus because she doesn't want to catch a cold and maybe have to go back to the hospital, which makes me more nervous for her own livelihood. Because right now, because of what she had or what she has, she can no longer work. So she has to rely on disability, which she is slowly starting to realize her new reality. That's what I would like to say for today.
Thank you.
Say this correctly, Anne-Marie?
Yes, that's me. Hi, I'm a local rider. I live in Central Falls, and the bus is important to me because I need to get to college. It would be a great difficulty to go all the way down to Providence and catch one of those buses to go up to the CCRI. If I'm not able to go to college, I don't know what I'll do with myself. I've tried doing things for employment, but I have a disability that makes it hard for me to get employment. So going for higher education, there's already a lot on a college student's back for things they have to do and financial aid, those types of things like that. I need to at least be able to get to school. So if there's going to be a cut on the 73, there still needs to be a bus leaving Pawtucket that's going to go to the college. I don't know if maybe you want to cut service to the gambling facility, because I know people getting on and off there. I don't know. But I definitely know there are a lot of students that are going to CCRI. Of course, not all at once, filling up a bus, but throughout the day, they come and they go, and I see that.
Nancy Green?
Hi, thank you. Well, I want to thank you for what you said about CCRI, because I took the bus from Providence to Lincoln and ultimately got my RN with an education at CCRI. So I've been voting for approximately 40 years, and every time I vote, a bond issue comes up, and it's going to be piles of money for highways and pocket change for RIPTA. And over 40 years, I feel like it's almost intentionally into a death spiral where, you know, there's cuts in service, you wait longer for the bus, the bus stations are further apart, there's fewer buses, people say I don't take it because it's not convenient. That's like the opposite of a business model. And I'm really concerned for public transit. So when we talk about money, and we need to save money, I think there's a lot of invisible money trickling away that people don't see. Now, one of the places is in the medical transportation. Because in my work, I heard a lot of complaints and tried to negotiate between the people the state pays for medical transportation and the riders. And it's a very difficult system. If we had more of a real serving system that met the needs of people, people would be able to not miss their doctor's appointment. That's quite expensive. on both ends. The doctor's time and the medical care that somebody needed and they didn't get, if they didn't get to their doctor on time. And this actually was happening a lot, whether they were using RIPTA or the medical transportation. So we are losing money in other ways. We're losing it in the isolation of people that don't drive. We're losing it in people that know perfectly well they shouldn't drive, but they see no alternative. And I do not intend to be one of those when I'm older either. We are actually losing money for lack of investing what we need in the public transportation. So I appreciate everybody that has a voice in the General Assembly that's speaking up for this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Patrick Quinn.
Which Patrick?
Quinn.
Okay.
I'm out here. My name's Patrick Quinn. I live here in downtown Pawtucket. I'm here basically to voice my opposition to the 7680 cut. I work at Haddon on Newport Avenue, so that's my only transportation to get to and from work. It's also the only bus that goes to Stop and Shop where I can get groceries. I want to thank everybody for being here, those of you who spoke. I apologize, I didn't hear any of you because I'm severe hearing loss, but that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Diane Lamar.
I've ridden the bus over 40 years. I started out on the 79 group, which got cut years ago by half the group. Take us to Bowman, it's back in the day. It got cut, starts now over the industrial road, and it's money getting transportation to downtown Pawtucket, so they can bring me to the field. Like right now, take a hot trip, take the 35 into Providence, and take the 72 to work. I already walked a half an hour to get the bus as it is. To eliminate it, it's gonna be an hour walk. Hope you hope you continue the 80 if possible. It already runs only an hour and a half, and it's a long day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rose Catchings.
Hello, my name is Rose Catchins. I've only been going on 5 years, and in that short period of time, I've seen a decline in public transportation. I only take the buses here, or walk, because I'm not too good on a bicycle. And I'm here basically to say that I'm against all of these cuts. There has to be something, there should be a better solution for the 21st century, going into global warming. We need more people to be taking public transportation. You cut these lines, you're a lot of time walking to this train station, the bus that's supposed to come doesn't come. That means I miss my connector. I have a life, I have things I want to do. There's all this time you're wasting, waiting for a bus. That's not right. And you're affecting older people like myself and young people who need to get to school. I mean, I am really against the 73 being cut. Because what are the kids supposed to do? If they want to go to CCRI, they're supposed to what? Go downtown Providence to take another bus to go up. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm sorry. That's all I can say, because I agree with
Nancy D'Agostino.
Hi, so I just moved back here to Rhode Island about a year ago. I was in Fall River, but I'm born and raised here. Now, I'm still trying to figure out the schedules and stuff. I know back in the days, there used to be only 2 changes, one in the summer and one in the winter. Now you got, I don't know what you got. I don't know what you got anymore.
Too much.
Too much. I mean, now you got like the winter hours that don't stop until the kids get out of school. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's ridiculous. I'm hoping you don't stop the 71 to 75 because I'm an elderly high-rise. And I can tell you right off the bat that I've already gotten hit twice in my wheelchair. I've had my blue jacket on, everything. I've gotten hit twice in my wheelchair. It's either because I don't have bus transportation or, I can get free medical rides, but they only allow so many hours. My doctor's in Providence, and I go to Newport every Sunday. I take the 60 bus, so you're taking that, it takes me 3 buses just to get from Cumberland, Pawtucket, and then Providence to, I mean, I'm asking you guys not to cut to 71 or 75. I want to be able to go shopping. I have my independence. I have doctor's appointments. I have my service dog that I need to take for his checkups every couple of months. So, I mean, you have way too many buses in Pawtucket. You have a hospital, what is it, the Rhode Island Hospital bus. Why do you need that in Pawtucket? You could just go to Providence and catch an Eddy Street bus. You got too many Providence buses going to that train station. Hardly nobody's goes on them. So why can't you cut back on those, on some? I mean, there's got to be a solution somewhere. There's no other bus that I can take to get down to downtown Pawtucket. So I got to ride my wheelchair. I rode my wheelchair down here, by the way, from Mendon Road to here. I cut through Central Falls to come all the way down here because now I got to go back in my wheelchair because, again, the buses are winter hours. So I got to ride all the way back. When I used to come here from Fall River to take the 24L, the last bus was at 7 o'clock. So, again, I have to ride my wheelchair from Pawtucket all the way to Cumberland to go back home. Sometimes I even go up Lonsdale Ave. Yes, the winding road. I go all the way up there, knowing that I could probably get killed. But it's a shorter route than taking Broad Street, but I risk it. And that's going all the way up by Scotts Pond. I go all the way up that road in my wheelchair. So I'm asking you, please don't cut the 71 or 75. Sure, I could take the 73, but that still means I gotta ride my wheelchair all the way up to Cumberland. These are not winterized chairs. The coldness in these, they run less. And I've got my charger, but where do I charge it when I need to charge it if it starts dying? I've been there, done that, the laundromat on Dexter Street. I've got to find a place to charge my thing. They're not good, and they're not snowproof either. They're not rainproof. The engines are in back. What am I supposed to do? So I'm asking you guys, please, don't cut the 71 and 75, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joy Thibodeau Moore.
Good evening. I am here to voice my opinion against the cuts, specifically the 9X route. I am a resident of Pasco, and I use Ripta Paratransit for people with visible or invisible disabilities. Rhode Island is not an easy state to get around in, despite it being small. If these cuts go through, I will most likely not be able to work. I will most likely not be able to get to my doctor's appointments. With the, need to wait 4 hours before I can get home. not many places are friendly to have someone wait 4 hours. And this is year-round, any weather. So after, should the cuts go through and I am no longer able to work, I will not be able to provide for my family and certainly not be able to go to increased like Twin River. So I am still 7 years before retirement age. So I will either need to go on a full disability, and that generally takes about a year process. Don't know who's going to pay my bills in the meantime while going through that process. And also, I do want to say that, like other people, it was a hardship just to get here or evening bus service in Pasco, so I had to get creative to get a ride home tonight. And shame on Ripta for not even scheduling one of these meetings on the 9X route. How many other people were not able to make their voices heard? Thank you.
Thank you.
Justice George. Justice. John Flaherty.
Hi, my name is John Flaherty. I grew up on the 76 in Pawtucket. I now live in Slatersville, and I take the 59X into Providence where I work. And I use other routes. I use the R line, the 20, and several others. The cuts that are being proposed and those that have come before it are bringing transit service in Rhode Island in exactly the opposite direction that it needs to be going in. And to the credit of the agency, you all have developed a forward-looking, data-driven plan for the future of transit. That started in 2018. It was completed and adopted by the state in December of 2020. There has been no commitment whatsoever to its implementation. So here we are talking about a driver shortage. And while I agree that there is a driver shortage, it goes much deeper than that. And what it really is chronic underfunding, and it's been chronic underfunding for over 2 decades, because I followed all the numbers. And I appreciate very much Rep. Stewart and Cruz and Senator Coleman for your efforts in the General Assembly to call attention to this. You're 3, and I know there's a few others, but at the end of the day, this is really just not a priority for the governor or for legislative leadership. We'll just call it out for what it is. So that yes, we have a driver shortage, but it is directly related to a lack of funding over many, many years. So I just implore folks to do what they can to bring this to the attention of the governor, to write letters to the editor in your local paper so that more people see this as the problem that it is. If you look at any plan that we have in this state, an economic development plan, a climate plan, they all mention the importance of implementing the transit master plan. And yet, here we are. My time is up. Thank you. Just one more point. I am disappointed, frankly, though, in the board. The board had an opportunity to submit a resolution. It was drafted. They took it up, asking the governor and legislative leadership to fully fund transit, and they took a pass. So that's very disappointing. I know there's very good people who work on the board, and there's certainly good people who work on the staff, but that was a huge missed opportunity.
Melissa Flaherty.
Yes, there is a relation. And ironically enough, one of the reasons I'm here tonight is because there is no such service to the town of Slatersville. Most of you will know it as the place you drive by to get to Wrightsville. But it's like no man's land. My husband takes the bus in the morning, there's, 3 bus options, and if he misses it by a minute, I have to like drive him to Lincoln Mall or drive him to Providence. But I'm here tonight because there's just no way for him to get home. That's the reality, and I know other people have mentioned this. I grew up in Central Falls, lived in Pawtucket, went to CCRI on the bus, and I can remember when I went to CCRI, I usually got there 2 or 3 hours early, because that was the only way to get there. And for a lot of my early years, that's everywhere I had to go, you had to get there like an hour or 2 early, because that's when the bus was running. And it's just crazy that that's the kind of service we have in this state. But, and I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I just want to say, when I got here tonight, just for the heck of it, I said, if I couldn't come get him tonight, what's an Uber? An Uber from where we're standing right now to Slatersville Plaza is between $47 and $77. And as someone that grew up in Central Falls and Pawtucket, this is a community that can least afford those kind of things. So you're really hurting the people that can least afford these costs. So I would really hope that really considers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Angie?
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, that's
Okay. My name is Angie Tibio, and I'm a totally blind person. I take paratransit, which is connected with RIPTA. If the fixed route system goes, there goes paratransit. And no matter how much money I have or my friends have, we can't grab the car keys and go boom, boom anywhere. We're blind or disabled, and that's not gonna change it. RIPTA's gonna cut these routes. I go everywhere in paratransit. I can't afford Uber and Lyft. I don't have a lot of money, neither do my friends. We work, we go to school, we go to doctors, we live our lives. And these routes are going to happen, guess what? All of us are gonna be 4th-class citizens, not 2nd, not 3rd, 4th. And if you guys thought COVID was bad being isolated in your house, try to live in our shoes. Try to live in Devin's shoes, and everybody who spoke here, all that. I took paratransit here, okay? And I just, you guys have to find another way. This is torturous, it literally anxiety attacks. I'm like, okay, if this happens, how am I gonna get here? How are my friends gonna get here? Route 23, it's gonna be gone. I know 5 blind people and other people who are disabled who are not going to get places. I know my friends in wheelchairs who live on the Route 23 line. They have the electric chairs. I don't know what you call them, but they drive the They can't get anywhere else. They can't get there's no other options for them. Okay, the ding is up, I know. So, I'm sorry, I get fired up, guys, I'm really sorry. It's just awful, it's awful. I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
Thank you.
Trevor Culhane. My name is Trevor Culhane. I live in Providence. I testified at the State House about RIPTA in 2013. That was the first time I'd ever spoken at the State House. I was there for Rhode Island Student Climate Coalition. As there was a student, because students often rely on the bus. After that, I lived in Boston. There are things I don't like about Boston, but I love the public transit system in Boston. And every other place I've lived, I've lived in 2 different places, 2 different states. It has been relatively easy to get around. I've never had to get in a car here. I think there's an opportunity if we're investing in RIPTA to further climate action, to further economic justice, racial justice, disability justice. There's huge potential for investing in RIPTA and achieving all of these different goals. And I encourage the state and I encourage RIPTA
to not do these cuts and to further expand this purpose.
Thank you.
Randall Rose.
Hello, my name is Randall Rose. I'm with the Kennedy Plaza Resilience Coalition, as are several other people here. We are definitely opposed to these cuts, as are most people. A lot of people have explained why this is a really bad idea, and I'm glad people have been saying we're opposed to all these cuts. Very few people have given in to the temptation to say, well, cut somebody else's route instead of mine. We really have to oppose all these cuts. We're told that this is because of a driver shortage. As many people have said, definitely not true. A few months ago, November, RIPTA adopted a budget where they asked the governor for $18 million. They said, we're going to need $18 million more just to keep the buses going. And they sent a letter about that too. And when the governor unveiled his budget on January 25th, he only gave RIPTA $10 million. Very next day, RIPTA board announced an agenda with service cuts. Simple cause and effect. I mean, RIPTA saved a lot of time, spent a lot of effort in making itself financially efficient. In November, they actually shifted $3 million of money out of other things, $3 million that they could hardly afford, cutting to the bone, just to have more pay available for drivers. But they were still relying on getting that $18 million from the governor. It didn't come. So when you hear people say that it's all because of a driver shortage, it's not because of the budget, the RIPTA CEO, Scott Avedizian over here, who's been smiling through some of this testimony, he said that on the public's radio. It's not true. We really need to make sure that the decision makers in the State House decide, because it's not really up to the RIPTA board. It's all a decision made by the top leaders in the State House. So we've got to get organized. If you want to join our group or another group, choose whatever you want to join. But if you want to join our group, Kennedy Plaza Coalition, just hit this subscribe link, scan the codes, go to our website, kennedyplazacoalition.org, and put your name and contact info in. We need more people, and then tell your friends. Or go and contact Save RIPTA. There's a few Save RIPTA people here. There's people from Grow Smart. There's people from other organizations. Rhode Island Transit Riders is a good group too. But we've got to get organized. Just speaking here is not going to make the change. We really have to join an organization and put on the pressure. So please, let's make it happen, because there shouldn't be cuts, there should be expanded service, and they shouldn't be wasting money on moving the Kennedy Plaza bus hub to a remote place nobody needs. Thank you.
Jonathan Flynn.
You believe. You had to get the last bus.
Pat Ford.
Hi, my name is Pat Ford. I live in Cumberland, and I use mass transportation occasionally, not as often as I should, but I've learned a lot listening to all of you tonight. An observation and a rhetorical question. The observation is this: it's 2024. It's time for RIPTA and actually all public agencies to A, provide a amplified speaking platform so that folks can hear what's going on, and B, every meeting should be streamed. Technology is remarkably inexpensive. I feel for the folks who depend so radically on this service. And I can't imagine their frustration in not being able to be here tonight. But here's my point. We live in a state where the governor, Dan McKee, has allocated $80–90 million for corporate welfare in the form of the Commerce Corporation. You live in a city, Pawtucket, Rhode Island, where the mayor, Don Brevian, allocated $10 million in ARPA money for a soccer stadium that most of you probably won't be able to go to. Elections have consequences. It's all about the money. The money is there. Who is economic development for? That's what they'll tell you. It's all that money. Is economic development for the generations of folks from Pawtucket and CF who are here tonight, representing an incredible diversity, wonderful community towards economic development for the people they want to serve.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jonathan Jesus. I'm the community policy advocate for Progreso Latino. Progreso Latino's mission is to help Rhode Island's Latino and immigrant communities to achieve greater self-sufficiency and socioeconomic progress by providing transformational programs that support personal growth and social change. The drought and the decrease of service frequency will definitely play a huge effect on how we can help our state. 50 people attend every Wednesday. Our income tax program, job club to help people in need of a job, the immigration department, senior program, early childhood and school age, and other programs as well. Our organization strives to help people of all ages, no matter their background and community they live in. If we cut ripped up funds, then many who rely on our services will not receive the help that they need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody who has not had a chance to speak yet? All right, well, I want to thank everybody for, first I didn't see your hand. Go ahead, Grant.
Thank you. My name is Grant O'Gary. I'm a lifetime environmentalist and a longtime transit advocate. And I just want to urge everybody here to get in contact with their General Assembly members, state reps, state senators. I know who they are, and let them know this is totally unacceptable. This is going in the exact opposite direction of what we need to do. And RIPTA staff is a wonderful staff. They're an excellent staff. And they're looking at this, critically saying, okay, we're going to adjust the lines that are least productive. The key is to get more folks out of their cars onto the buses. There are ways of doing that. I've made suggestions at the board meetings, which the board hasn't adopted anything yet so far. We need to recognize that there are funding priorities, and RIPTA has to be one of the funding priorities, and it has to start now. We need to start before now. It's got to start now. This is totally unacceptable. Someone mentioned this stupid idea, extraordinarily, exorbitantly expensive idea, of relocating the transit hub from Kennedy Plaza halfway to the hospital. All roads lead to Kennedy Plaza. It's ridiculous, it's absurd. I've made suggestions in what we need to do to make Kennedy Plaza more efficient, both for RIPTA and for everybody else. We should be, instead of denigrating Kennedy Plaza, we should be celebrating Kennedy Plaza. The board hasn't adopted any of those yet either. Key is the General Assembly. The key is the General Assembly. You need to get in contact with your respective legislators, but also get in contact with your friends and neighbors who live nearby, far away, anywhere, and get them to get in contact with their General Assembly members. That's where the battle is. I go to House Finance Committee meetings, I go to Senate Finance Committee meetings. Not enough of them are hearing from their constituents. So let me just encourage you, urge you to do that, because that's what democracy is all about. Democracy doesn't work if it's not participatory democracy. So I thank all of you for being here, and I urge all of you to keep the battle, starts now, starts tonight, keep the battle ongoing and growing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please take a hand for the record.